Welcome to episode 24 of our second series on the surnames and early families of Appalachia and the American South. On today's show, we'll investigate 5 more names and families that were requested by folks just like you. Now, if you're new to the channel, I mix in a bit of history and trivia along with the origin and meaning of surnames. My main goal is to identify families that have been in the southern United States since before the Civil War. Why might you ask? Well, if you're my age or older, or even close to my age, there's a good chance that you know where your recent ancestors originated. So, I hope you'll join me. Number 1, Tabor, etc. The original owner of this surname was a drummer, guitar player, or maker of those instruments, whose family lived in Spain, England, or Bohemia. Bohemia is in the eastern part of today's Czech Republic, or used to be Czechoslovakia, near the Sudetenland. It was a big issue in World War II, or at least prompted World War II. It was found among Jewish communities too in those places, so I'll come back to that point in just a second. Now, with respect to early southern families, my research showed me that Tabor City, which is a small municipality located on the North Carolina side of the South Carolina border, is less than 40 miles north of Myrtle Beach, one of my favorite places to hang out. It was named after Mount Tabor Baptist Church, which was founded in 1838. The church itself was named for Mount Tabor, a prominent hill about 8 miles east of the Sea of Galilee in what's today Israel. It's mentioned in the books of Joshua and Judges in the Old Testament, or the Jewish Bible, and is the scene of Jesus' transfiguration in the New Testament. In a sense, it's a true Judeo-Christian name. In other words, it was a biblical name that was adopted by Jews and Christians, but I didn't find it among the traditional names of Ireland, Scotland, or Wales. Number 2, Shaw. When I received this request, I was pretty excited because my first home that I ever bought and lived in was in Shaw, Mississippi, or as I say down there, Shaw, Mississippi, 2 syllables. That happy period in my life occurred when I was a new daddy, 1993, 94, 95, that era, I should say, and a freshly minted assistant professor at Delta State University. Now, let me say at the outset that some of the finest, most caring, loving people that I ever met were Mississippians of all races. As a retired geography professor, it was always my desire to live where the real people reside. Shaw is located about a dozen miles south of Delta State, which is in Cleveland, Mississippi, so I got to experience true Delta culture for several years. It was at that time that I became interested in Southern culture largely, including my own Appalachian region. It was in Mississippi that I published my first journal articles and wrote the preliminary pages of my first of 8 books. At any rate, Shaw is an English name for one who lived at a wood or a grove. However, it was adopted in Scotland and became part of Clan Mackintosh, a sept of Clan Mackintosh. As is evidenced by the Irish playwright and critic George Bernard Shaw, who was born in 1856 and died in 1950, Shaw families are found in Ireland. Apparently, they accompanied the military of King William III, or William the Orange, and put down roots in various parts of the Emerald Isle. You might note that William of Orange and his wife Mary are the persons for whom the College of William and Mary in Virginia is named. According to the book entitled Our Maryland Heritage, Book 38, The Shaw Families, members of this family have been in Maryland since the early colonial days. The authors argue that the following men were likely brothers: Levi, born in 1780, Rezin, born 1775, John, 1773, and Lemuel in 1770. Their descendants spread out to other areas of the early republic, but you'll need a paper trail, I believe, to determine your line's country of origin. Number 3, Keaton, or Keating. There are 3 famous Keaton folks who pop up in my mind: Buster Keaton, Diane Keaton, and Michael Keaton, good old Beetlejuice himself. But I've met many good people from Scott County, Tennessee named Keaton, including former students. I cherish their memories much more than I do those of the Tinseltown folks. To be honest, I thought that Keaton was an alternate form of Keating, an Anglo, or I should say Irish, Norman, Gaelic name. Well, it's not Gaelic, but it had a Gaelic form. Keaton, on the other hand, seems to be connected to a place in Devonshire, England, where it was derived from the Brythonic Celtic word for hedge enclosure, and the Middle English Toun for farmstead settlement, a farmstead settlement. I was able to find records for William M. Keaton, who was born in North Carolina in 1720. He apparently died there in 1811. So Keaton is an antebellum family name. At the end of the day, I would call Keaton a Cornish Anglo name and Keating a Hiberno-Norman name. Number 4, Dennis, Dennison, Dennison. I have to admit up front that members of my maternal great-grandmother's household married into the Dennis family of Western North Carolina. Forms of the surname Dennis can be found in medieval England, France, and the Germanic lands of Northern Europe, including Scandinavia. Given that there are Angles and Vikings from what is today Denmark who settled in Great Britain between the 5th and 11th centuries, it's hard to tell where your deep ancestry will lead you. It was a common personal name early in its existence, just as it is today. My third great-grandfather was Dennis Van, so it was fairly common in western North Carolina and East Tennessee in the 1790s. According to Then and Change genealogy, the earliest Dennis folk in America were Quakers from Ireland. They settled in New Jersey around 1682. By the 1760s, Quakers named Dennis were living in Orange County, North Carolina. During 1754, Quakers settled on the Little River in St. Paul Parish in Georgia. In December 1768, Joseph Maddock and Jonathan Sell notified the governor of the Georgia province that 70 families had settled on a reserve set aside for Quakers from Orange County, North Carolina, in response to a petition presented on September 1st, 1767. Joseph Maddock was married to Rachel Dennis, a sister to Abraham and John Dennis. Clearly, this Anglo-French-Germanic surname is antebellum. Number 5, breeding. One of the more popular teachers that I've learned about in western Claiborne County here in Tennessee was an agriculture teacher named Wade Breeding. The story goes that he was well liked by agricultural and non-agriculture or non-ag students and went the extra mile to promote their work and their extracurricular activities, even carrying a camera around school campus and taking pictures of them doing different kinds of things and putting it in publications. That's pretty cool. A student's teacher, you might say. The origins of Wade's surname, however, are not so clear. It's not mentioned in any of my books on Irish, Scottish, English, or Welsh names that suggest that it came straight to America from the European continent, or it's an Americanized form of a name from the Isles. The Dictionary of American Family Names, 2nd edition, speculates that it's a Germanic origin, or it has a Germanic origin, for a long-lost personal name. There is a Germanic name that could be its source. At the end of the day, though, I think that there is some evidence that suggests that Breeding is a German surname, but I still have my doubts about the folks around here, and think that it could be an alteration of the surname Breeden or Braden, which was covered in season 2, episode 2, that was premiered on June 18th, 2024. I'll get it straight in just a second. I've noted in other videos that there are several other long-standing German surnames in the Powell Valley area, so some breeding families could have German roots. But going further back in time to 1840, most of the families named Breeding lived in Virginia. Richard Braden was born in Culpeper County, Virginia around 1698, so his family was already settled in the colony in the middle 1600s. He married a lady named Eleanor Cross in 1731. It looks like at least 3 of their children changed the spelling of their names for Breeden to Breeding. They include Abner, Ann, and Elijah Breeding. Well, folks, that's about all I have for you today. I hope you got something meaningful out of the discussion, and will join me again here on The Vantage Point. If you'd like a free copy of the list of names that we've covered thus far, write to me at vantagepoint22@gmail.com and I'll send it to you. Until we meet again, may the good Lord bless and keep you. May He make His face shine on you and give you peace. Bye-bye.